is a Bronx-bound 5 express train. This is a Bronx-bound 5 express train. The next stop is Ground+Trade.
Favorite line, man.
Until the mid-90s.
Wall Street. George Washington, where he was sworn in.
Huh?
George Washington was sworn in right there. Eat it. You know you want to eat it. Yeah. Eat it.
That's good pretzel.
Chew it. And this is supposedly haunted by a Stuyvesant.
Have their fingers and lots of eyes.
Francis Lewis. And other famous people. All these poor dead people, and that's what they died for. Came to America in 1682, Jonathan.
Lived to be 92 years old. Deutsche Bank building still being deconstructed. Almost 10 years later, 9.5 years later.
Now our friend Nancy lives over there. Do you want to tell Nancy's terrible 9/11 story as we walk over to Ground Zero?
Surely.
She's a fine voiceover artist too.
Nancy's apartment is a block and a half from the former site of the South Tower. Her apartment is on the second floor facing the back of the building.
I believe it's right over here, is it not? Okay. Nancy's
She
apartment?
had a neighbor, close friend, on the third floor whose apartment faced the front of the building, the street side. Her mother woke her up on the morning of September 11th, called her from Pennsylvania, to say something awful is happening. Go look out the window. Of course, she can't look out the window, so she went up to her friend's apartment, and they sat on the fire escape, drinking coffee, smoking cigarettes, and watching the events unfold. Just, what, 100 stories above them, or so? 80 stories above them? Wondering how, this is also horrible, watching the smoke billow out, things falling. And just when they thought, maybe this isn't safe, we should probably go in, the first tower came down. They threw themselves through the window into the apartment, which immediately became black. They could not see anything. They couldn't hear anything because of the sound. Dust filled everything. When they could begin to function again, they got up. This entire apartment was filled with toxic dust. They gathered their wits to them, went out into the hallway, and found all the building's residents gathered, frightened. They were going to make their escape. They decided exiting through the street would not be safe. They were going to go through the rear fire escape in Nancy's apartment. They went in, got her wallet, her keys, her pets, and found out that her 1600s tenement building, its fire escape dead-ended.
Oh.
Just a ventilation shaft. There was no escape from the back of the building. So they had to go out the front. They opened the front door into the street and found a resident pressed into the doorway. He had his key in the lock when the building came down. And he's been standing there now for almost 20 minutes with his face against the door, terrified. He has since died of several cancers.
And Nancy can't leave there. Still lives in that building. Terrible dispute with landlord. And
Yeah. Well, once out of the building, there was all this rubble and debris in the street. And as they were trying to decide which way to go, the second tower came down. As they were standing there, and they were engulfed once more, seeing ground, concrete, asbestos, glass. She became separated from her friends. One of the residents in the building ended up being ferried to New Jersey. She walked with her dog and cat to Chinatown, where someone gave her a bottle of water to rinse off her face, and a cab driver said, "Get in the car, where do you want to go?" and took her for free up to a friend's apartment in the East 80s.
let's walk over here. It should cover it up. It used to be open. You could actually see the site.
Get more that way.
Yeah.
A friend of mine had called to ask me, someone who used to live here and moved to Hawaii. She was very upset. She wanted to know what's there, thinking there'd be like a jagged half a building standing up in the sky.
Yeah.
I told her nothing. There's nothing there. It's gone.
Very smell in the blood.
Yeah. Thanks, man.
This any problem?
And I think that's very difficult for people to understand. This isn't just an empty area. This is an empty area that used to be full. As tall as those buildings are, the towers that are missing were twice as tall. And all these buildings are architecturally designed in reference to this site that's now empty.
It's finally getting some tenants. Mostly federal agencies renting, just because it was a terrible time to build these ugly 2 towers. And they were ugly. Nobody liked them, but miss them.
That glass tower is here. So there's 7 buildings total.
Yeah.
Visitors from around the world flooded the sidewalks around St. Paul's and posted ribbons, letters, photographs, and numerous personal items on the fence. People transformed the chapel's wrought iron fence into a spontaneous memorial expressing their anguish and loss.